Book 2. The Book of the Statesman. You who demand a reply, when Laocoon lessens and tenor, hush then your feeble roar, and your ear to the past and the distance turn. You fields that are famous forever, reply for me, calling, fields of the mighty, mown by my sword's edge. Chersonese conquered, Thrace and her snows where we fought on the frozen streams and were victors then, when they were unborn, who are now your delight and your leaders. Answer return, you columns of Ilus, here where my counsels made Troy mightier, guiding her safe through the shocks of her foemen. Gold, I have heaped it up high. I am rich with the spoils of your haters. It was your fathers dead who gave me that wealth as my guerdon. Now my reproach, your fathers who saw not the Greeks round their ramparts, they were not cooped by an upstart race in the walls of Apollo. Saw not Hector slain and Troilus dragged by his coursers. Far over wrathful Jaxartes they rode. The shaken Achaean prostrate adored your strength, who now shouts at your portals and conquers then when Antenor guided Troy. This old man, this traitor. Not Laocoon, nay, not even Paris, nor Hector. But I have changed. I have grown a niggard of blood and of treasure. Selfish, chilled as old men seem to the young and the headstrong. Counselling, safety and ease, not the ardour of noble decisions. Come to my house and behold, my house that was filled once with voices. Sons whom the high gods envied me crowded the halls that are silent. Where are they now? They are dead. Their voices are silent in Hades, fallen, slaying the foe in a war between sin and the Furies. Silent they went to the battle to die, unmourned for their country, die as they knew, in vain. Do I keep now the last ones remaining, sparing their blood that my house may endure? Is there any in Troia speeds to the front of the melee, outstripping the sons of Antenor? Let him arise and speak, and proclaim it, and bid me be silent. Heavy is this war that you love on my heart, and I hold you as madmen, doomed by the gods, abandoned by Pallas, by Hera afflicted. Who would not hate to behold his work undone by the foolish? Who would not weep if he saw Laocoon ruining Troia, Paris doomed in his beauty, Aeneas slain by his valour? Still you need to be taught that the high gods see and remember, dream that they care not if justice be done on the earth or oppression, happy to live, aspire while you violate man and the immortals. Vainly the sands of time have been strewn with the ruins of empires, signs that the gods had left, but in vain. For they look for a nation, one that can conquer itself, having conquered the world. But they find none. None has been able to hold all the gods in his bosom unstaggered. All have grown drunken with force and have gone down to hell and to Ate. All have been thrust from their heights, say the fools. We shall live, and forever. We are the people at last, the children, the favourites. All things only to us are permitted. They too descend to the silence. Death receives their hopes, and the void their stirrings of action. Evil of fate there is none, than life too long among mortals. I have conversed with the great who have gone. I have fought in their war cars. Tros I have seen. Leomedon's hand has dwelt on my temples. Now I behold Laocoon. Now our greatest is Paris. First, when Phrix by the Hellespont reared to the cry of the ocean, hewing her stones as vast as his thoughts, his high-seated fortress, planned he a lair for a beast of prey, for a pantheress dire-souled, crouched in the hills for her bound, or self-gathered against the avenger? Dardanus shepherded Asia's coasts, and her sapphire-girt islands. Mild was his rule like the blessing of rain upon fields in the summer. Gladly the harried coasts reposed, confessing the Phrygian, Caria, Lycia's kings, and the Paphlagon, strength of the Mysian, Minos, Crete, recovered the sceptre of old Rhadamanthus. Ilus and Tros had strength in the fight, like a far-striding Titans. Troy triumphant, following the urge of their souls to the vastness, helmeted, crowned like a queen of the gods, with the fates for her coursers, rode through the driving sleet of the spears to Indus and Oxus. Then twice over she conquered the vanquished, with peace as in battle. There, where discord had clashed, sweet peace sat, girded with plenty. There, where tyranny counted her blows, came the hands of a father. Neither had Teucer a soul like your chiefs, who refounded this nation. Such was the antique and noble tradition of Troy in her founders. Builders of power that endured. But it perishes, lost to their offspring, trampled, scorned by an arrogant age, by a violent nation. Strong Anchises trod it down, trampling victorious onwards, stern as his sword and hard as the silent bronze of his armour. More than another, I praise the man who is mighty and steadfast, even as Ida the mountain. I praise a refuge for lions. But in the council I laud him not. He, who a god for his kindred, lives for the rest without bowels of pity or fellowship, lone-souled, scorning the world that he rules, who, untamed by the weight of an empire, holds allies as subjects, subjects as slaves, and drives to the battle, careless more of their wills than the coursers yoked to his war-car. Therefore they fought while they feared, but gladly abandon us falling. Yet had they gathered to Teucer in the evil days of our nation. Where are they now? Do they gather then to the dreaded Anchises? Or has Aeneas helped with his counsels hateful to wisdom? Hateful is this, a board of the gods, imagined by 80, when against subjects murmuring discord and faction, appointed scatter unblessed gold, the heart of a people is poisoned. Virtue pursued and baseness triumphs, tongued like a harlot. Brother against brother arrayed, that the rule may endure of a stranger. Yes, but it lasts for its hour. The high gods watch in their silence. Mute they endure for a while, that the doom may be swifter and greater. Hast thou then lasted, O Troy? Lo, the Greeks at thy gates, and Achilles. Dream, when virtue departs, that wisdom will linger, her sister. Wisdom has turned from your hearts. Shall fortune dwell with the foolish? Fatal oracles came to you, great-tongued, vaunting of empires, stretched from the risen sun to his rest in the Occident waters. Dreams of a city throned on the hills, with her foot on the nations. Meanwhile, the sword was prepared for our breasts, and the flame for our housetops. Wake, awake, O my people! The firebrand mounts up your doorsteps. Gods who deceived to slay, press swords on your children's bosoms. See, O ye blind, ere death in pale countries open your eyelids. Hear, O ye deaf, the sounds in your ears and the voices of evening. Young men who vaunt in your strength, when the voice of this aged Antenor governed your father's youth, all the Orient was joined to our banners. Macedon leaned to the east, and her princes yearned to the victor. Scythians worshipped in Ilion's shrines. The Phoenician trader bartered her tokens. Babylon's wise men paused at our thresholds. Fair-haired sons of the snows came rapt towards golden Troia, drawn by the song and the glory. Strymon sang hymns unto Ida. Hoarse Chalcidice, dim Chersonesus married their waters under the o'erarching yoke of Troy, twixt the term-posts of ocean. Meanwhile, far through the world, your fortunes, led by my counsels, followed their lure like women snared by a magical tempter. High was their chant as they paced, and it came from continents distant. Turn now and hear. What voice approaches? What glitter of armies? Loud upon Trojan beaches, the tread and the murmur of Hellas. Hark! 'Tis the Achaeans' paean rings o'er the Pergamon waters. So wake the dreams of Aeneas. Reaped is Laocoon's harvest. Speakers, whose counsels persuaded our strength from the labor before us, artisans new of your destiny, fashioned this far-spreading downfall. Counselors blind, who scattered your strength to the hooves of the Scythian, barren victories, trophies of skin-clad Illyrian pastors. Who but the fool and improvident? Who but the dreamer and madman leaves for the far and ungrasped earth's close and provident labor? Children of earth, our mother gives tokens. She lays down her signposts, step by step to advance on her bosom, to grow by her seasons, order our works by her patience, and limit our thought by her spaces. But you had chiefs who were demigods, souls of an earth-scorning nature, minds that saw vaster than life, and strengths that God's hour could not limit. These men seized upon Troy as the tool of their giant visions, dreaming of Africa's sons and bright Hesperian orchards, Carthage our mart, and our feet on the sunset hills of the Latins. Ilion's hinds, in the dream, ploughed Libya, sowed Italy's cornfields. Troy stretched to Gades. Even the gods and the fates had grown Trojan. So are the natures of men uplifted by heaven in its satire, scorning the bit of the gods, despisers of justice and measure. Zeus is denied and adored some shadow huge of their natures, losing the shape of man in a dream that is splendid and monstrous. Titans, vaunting, they stride, and the world resounds with their footsteps. Titans, clanging, they fall, and the world is full of their ruin. Children, you dreamed with them, heard the roar of the Atlantic breakers, welcome your keels, and the isles of the blessed grew your wonderful gardens. Lulled in the dream, you saw not the black drifting march of the storm-rack, heard not the galloping wolves of the doom and the howl of their hunger. Greece in her peril united her jarring clans. You suffered, patient, preparing the north, the wisdom and silence of Peleus. Atreus' craft and the Argives gathered to King Agamemnon. But there were prophecies, Pythian oracles, mutterings from Delphi. How shall they prosper who haste after auguries, oracles, whispers, dreams that walk in the night, and voices obscure of the silence? Touches are these from the gods that bewilder the brain to its ruin. One sole oracle helps, still armored, in courage and prudence, patient and heedful to toil at the work that is near in the daylight. Leave to the night its phantoms, leave to the future its curtain. Only today heaven gave to mortal man for his labour. If thou hadst bowed not thy mane, O Troy, to the child and the dreamer, hadst thou been faithful to wisdom, the counsellor seated and ancient, then would the hour not have dawned when Paris lingered in Sparta, led by the goddess, fatal and beautiful, white Aphrodite. Man, shun the impulses dire that spring armed from thy nature's abysms. Dread the dusk rose of the gods. Flee the honey that tempts from its petals. Therefore the black deed was done, and the hearth that welcomed was sullied. Sin called, the Fury uplifted her tresses of gloom o'er the nations, maddening the earth with the scream of her bloodthirst, bowelless, stone-eyed, claiming her victims from God and bestriding the hate and the clamour. Yet, midst the stroke and the wail, when men's eyes were blind with the blood mist, still had the high God's mercy, recalling Teucer and Ilus. Sped by the hand of the thunderer, discord, flaming from Ida, 100-voiced, glared from the ships through the camp of the victor Achaeans. Love to that discord added her flower-like lips of Briseis. Faltering lids of Polyxena conquered the strength of Pelides. Vainly the gods who pity open the gates of salvation. Vainly the winds of their mercy breathe on our fevered existence. Man his passions prefers to the voice that guides from the heavens. These too were here whom Hera had chosen to ruin this nation, charioteers cracking the whips of their speed on the paths of destruction. Demigods they have come down from heaven, glad to that labour, deafening the world with the fame of their wheels as they race down to Hades. Oh, that alone they could reach it. Oh, that pity could soften harsh necessity's dealings, sparing our innocent children, saving the Trojan women and aged from bonds and the sword edge. These had not sinned, whom you slay in your madness. Ruthless, O mortals, must you be then to yourselves, when the gods even, faltering with pity, turn from the grief that must come, and the agony vast and the weeping. Say not the road of escape sinks too low for your arrogant treading. Pride is not for our clay. The earth, not heaven, was our mother, and we are even as the ant in our toil and the beast in our dying. Only who cling to the hands of the gods can rise up from the earth mire. Children, lie prone to their scourge, that your hearts may revive in their sunshine. This is our lot. When the anger of heaven has passed, then the mortal raises his head. Soon he heals his heart and forgets he has suffered. Yet, if resurgence from weakness and shame were withheld from the creature, every fall without morrow, who then would counsel submission? But since the height of mortal fortune ascending must stumble, fallen, again ascend, since death like birth is our portion, ripening mowed to be sown again like corn by the farmer, let us be patient still with the gods, accepting their purpose. Deem not defeat I welcome. Think not to Hellas submitting death of proud hope I would seal. Not this have I counselled, O nation, but to be even as your high-crested forefathers, greatest of mortals, Troya of old enringed by the hoofs of Cimmerian armies, flamed to the heavens from her plains, and her smoke-blackened citadel sheltered mutely the joyless rest of her sons and the wreck of her greatness. Courage and wisdom survived in that fall, and a stern-eyed prudence helped her to live. Disguised from her mightiness, Troy crouched, waiting. Teucer descended, whose genius worked at this kingdom and nation, patient, scrupulous, wise, like a craftsman, carefully toiling over a helmet or over a breastplate, testing it always, toiled in the eye of the masters of all, and had heed of its labour. So in the end they would not release him like souls that are common. They out of Ida sent into Ilion, Pallas Athene. Secret she came, and he went with her into the luminous silence. Teucer's children, after their sire, completed his labour. Now too, O people, front adversity, self-gathered, silent. Veil thyself, leonine mighty Ilion, hiding thy greatness. Be as thy father, Teucer. Be as a cavern for lions. Be as a fate that crouches, wordless and stern for your vengeance, self-gathered, work in the night and secrecy shrouding your bosoms. Let not the dire heavens know of it. Let not the foe seize a whisper. Ripen the hour of your stroke, while your words drip sweeter than honey. Sure, my friends, you will turn from death at my voice. You will hear me. Some day yet I shall gaze on the ruins of haughty Mycenae. Is this not better than Ilion cast to the sword of her haters? Is this not happier than Troya captured and wretchedly burning? Time to await in his stride when the southern and northern Achaeans, gazing with dull distaste now over their severing isthmus, hate-filled, shall move to the shock by the spur of the gods in them driven. Pelops march upon Attica, Phoebus descend on the Spartan. Then shall the hour now kept in heaven for us ripen to dawning. Then shall victory cry to our banners over the ocean, calling our sons with her voice immortal. Children of Ilus, then shall Troy rise in her strength and stride over Greece up to Gades. So Antenna spoke, and the mind of the hostile assembly moved and swayed with his words like the waters ruled by Poseidon. Even as the billows rebellious, lashed by the whips of the tempest, curvet and rear their crests like the hooded wrath of a serpent, green-eyed under their cowls sublime, unwilling they journey foam-bannered, hoarse-voiced, shepherded, forced by the wind to the margin meant for their rest, and can turn not at all, though they rage on their driver. Last with a sullen applause, and consenting lapse into thunder. Where they were led all the while, they sink down, huge and astonished. So in their souls that withstood and obeyed, and hated the yielding, lashed by his censure, indignant, the Trojans moved towards his purpose. Sometimes a roar arose, then only, weakened, rarer, angry murmurs swelled between sullen stretches of silence. Last, a reluctant applause broke, dull from the throats of the commons. Silent raged in their hearts, Laocoon's following, daunted, troubled the faction of Paris turned to the face of their leader. He as yet rose not. Careless he sat in his beauty, and, smiling, gazing with brilliant eyes at the sculptured pillars of Ilus. Doubtful, swayed by Antenor, waited in silence the nation.